Welcome to the Leverage Your Potential podcast. This podcast is hosted by the Director and Assistant Director of Menlo College's Office of Internships, Career Services, and Study Abroad, Dylan Houle and Kelly Davis, in partnership with Menlo's Content Creation Club. Hello and welcome to Menlo's Leverage Your Potential podcast. My name is Kelly Davis. I'm your host today, the Assistant Director of Career Services and Study Abroad at Menlo College. And I'm here with student Carey Lee. Hey, Carey.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me.
We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining us, Carey. So Carey is a great student here at Menlo. She is a major in business management, concentrating in international management. Right, Carey?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. I think I would know that by now. And I'm really excited to have Carey on today because she has studied abroad not just once, but twice. So she's going to be sharing a lot about her experiences in both Hong Kong and in South Korea. But to start us off, Carey, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, why you chose Menlo, and why you're majoring in international management?
So earlier mentioned, yes, my name is Carey. I am a business management major with a concentration in international management, and I'm originally from San Francisco. And I chose Menlo because I knew I wanted to do business, I guess kind of from early on. And I knew that I'm from here originally, and I knew that Silicon Valley had a lot of opportunities and stuff for just jobs, and just the Bay Area is the land of opportunity.
A great place of opportunity, yeah.
Yes. And so actually in my last semester in high school, me and my mom came out to visit Menlo, and we were both like, I think this is the one. So it was just really cool that it was a very small kind of community. There's everybody super close, and my mom also really liked that there was a required internship as a part of the degree for graduating. So it kind of just seemed like it ended up working out really well. So yeah.
For sure. And you're actually doing that internship now. I don't know if you want to speak to that just really quickly, what that's been like working remotely this summer.
Yeah. So it's definitely not what I expected my internship would be when I first, I guess, was thinking about it for the past 2-ish years. So working remotely has kind of just been me at home with my laptop, and it's been all right. I mean, I still have a part-time job, so I do get to go out and stuff. But in terms of this internship specifically, there's a lot I'm learning, and I kind of just the only thing I kind of wish that could be better was there's a lot of stuff that I'm learning, and I think it would have been really nice for me to be able to collaborate with some of the other students I'm working with, just so we can kind of work through what we're learning together.
And that's definitely easier when you're kind of all in the same place, meeting every day, sharing those desks. Or I don't know, when I had my first internship, we worked on different days, but then if you, for some reason, worked on a day you didn't normally work on, you might have to sit at a different desk because someone else had your desk on the day. So that's a whole other experience. But I'm glad that you have an internship and that you're getting to learn a little bit as you're working. But to kind of revert back to our main topic, what led to your initial interest in studying abroad?
So actually, I think my biggest influence probably was my sister. We have a 5-year difference between us, and so when she was in college, I was still in high school, and during her junior year, she got to study abroad for a whole year with her college, and she went to South Korea as well, and it seemed like it was a great, it was just a big step for her in terms of personal development, and she seemed like she really loved being abroad and just making new friends and learning new things. and just I guess I don't know, just living life in another part of the world. It's really cool. Um, and so I was like, I think in college I definitely want to do that. So when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, for sure, this is happening. So that's, I think, my biggest inspiration. But I don't know, I think everybody secretly, whether or not you like to admit it, has a knack for traveling. So traveling is
Yes.
always nice.
Absolutely. Whether or not you know it, it's there. It's there. Well, you certainly definitely jumped at the first opportunity. For our audience, Carey was just a freshman when she was figuring out the first time she was going to go abroad. And that was with Global Academic Ventures, or GAV as we call them more colloquially. And she went to Hong Kong. So Carey, what was that experience like to go to Hong Kong? It was just for about 10 days.
Mhm.
And you were learning, you're taking a business course. What was that experience like, and what were some of kind of the key learning moments?
Yeah, the first study abroad with JV was pretty cool. I thought it was perfect because I'm like my family is from Hong Kong and like China, so I thought like since I'm already like familiar with the culture and language a little, like it would be perfect for me to kind of just like dip my toes in the water and see if this would end up working out. I mean, obviously, like I kind of had no doubt that I would have fun, but it was just to kind of like it was a good little like it was a long enough period of time where I got to like kind of figure how to do things out on my own, but also like it wasn't so long where like I was like kind of getting like homesick or anything and like missing I guess home and just being like very confused and just I guess going through all of the um how do you call them like kind of just the struggles I guess of like figuring out what you're
Yeah,
doing and
the
where you
kind
are.
of homesickness and
Mhm.
I think there are a lot of students who deal with a lot of homesickness, sometimes even depression, just from being in a new environment and having to kind of figure things out for a longer period of time. Did you
Mhm.
did you experience any of that when you were in South Korea for 6 weeks?
Yeah, I definitely that feeling kind of was more like I definitely felt that a little bit more than I did in Hong Kong, but I think it kind of just comes with studying abroad, but I think it's a great kind of chance for you to like figure out like or realize I guess like oh I actually do like this or like oh like this is what I miss about what life is like at home and everything. So for Hong Kong it was really great because it was really I didn't it was like less than 2 weeks, so it was just a really kind of almost like an extended vacation a little bit where like, it was a lot of fun, and it was I mean, definitely, like, in terms of, like, the class and stuff, I did take one upper division business elective when I was there, and, like, the class was pretty much like, it took up the whole day, but we did have our afternoons and evenings free to explore the city and kind of just, um, like, learn about Hong Kong and the local culture and everything, which was really nice. And this was, like, kind of before the protests started happening too, so it was really, it was super fun.
That's right. Had you waited just one more year, and
Yeah.
I think that that program was actually canceled in 2019
Mhm,
because of the civil unrest that was going on.
mhm.
So kind of crazy stuff, and that's what happens sometimes in study abroad. We things get shifted really quickly because things shift, just like coronavirus has kind of been the epitome of that, shall we say? But in so how? What about in South Korea? What were some of the highlights of that experience, and what did you learn while you were there? You took two classes, right?
Mhm. Yeah, so in South Korea, I studied in Seoul, which is the capital and like the I guess if not the biggest city, one of the biggest cities. Um, which is great because I'm definitely a city girl. Um, So the thing with the South Korea program was that I didn't find it through Menlo. I had to find it on my own through like a third party, um, which was cool. I did a lot of research on my own time and came across this perfect program that was like over the summer. It was 6 weeks. I got to take 2 courses, and um, one of them was I think a general education course, and then the other one was just an elective course, which was really good because I think when you're abroad, there's a lot of learning that kind of happens outside of the classroom. So I think it's really great to have classes that aren't super rigorous or intense where you have to spend a lot of time focusing on that when there's a lot of other stuff and a lot of other things, fun things that you could be doing outside. But nonetheless, the classes were really great. And actually, since there were only 2 classes and it was 4 days a week, my class kind of times were really kind of like from late morning, like 10 o'clock to like 3 o'clock. So it was really nice because like I still did get a lunch break, and I also had like the afternoons and evenings to kind of go about the city and explore with friends and do things, and it was really cool. Um, I definitely experienced those kind of like feelings where it's like I'm like, I miss home. I don't have any friends. But I definitely got through that, especially as I like kind of started talking to more people and just hanging out with them like outside of class and everything. Like we would go out and eat fried chicken, which is like a very common kind of like thing to do. And then we would also like go shopping a lot. Shopping was a big thing. I really, really miss shopping. um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Super, super fun. A little bit hard for me though because I think there were a couple times where locals thought that I was like also a local, and they would ask me for directions in Korean, and I'd be like, I'm sorry. I I don't know, and I don't really understand. And they'd be like, oh, sorry. They'd be so nice about it, but I'd be a little bit embarrassed just because like, I couldn't give them what they needed. I feel bad for misleading them potentially, but
No, oh my gosh. I definitely probably had some very similar experiences when I was in Germany, and the German that came out of my mouth was not as they might have been expecting. Not as, fluent as I wanted to be. It took some time for sure.
Mhm.
So, but well, I'm curious about the shopping. Now, does the shopping in Seoul, is that much different than it is in San Francisco?
um Yeah, I think yeah, for sure. There's definitely so there's the typical malls, of course. They do have those, but that's actually not where I think most of my shopping happened actually. So they have a lot of like in terms of like they have a lot of food streets, and surrounding those food streets like for example in Myeongdong, which is like a very popular district in Seoul, they would have like a lot of just different like it was almost like an outdoor mall kind of thing, but this would go on for like blocks. And it was just so fun because like it felt so big, and there was just so much like you had so many options. There was just a lot of like makeup stuff, skincare stuff, a lot of clothes. They're very into like fashion and aesthetics. And then also a lot of like, as I mentioned, like food streets, so just a lot of food in general. And then also coffee. They're super into coffee, which is pretty cool. um like, I don't know, I think it's kind of like a trendy thing, but I mean, I've grown to love coffee over the past couple of years, so it's been it was really cool getting to go last year and just seeing all of that. Um, on top of the malls, they also had a very efficient subway system, and within the subways, like they'd have stations where you could like just there would be like kind of like little setup shops, like they kind of look like pop-up shops, but they're actually like in the building of the station, and like you would get to shop for like phone cases or like things like socks there.
Kind
Which
of
is
little
really
knickknacks or
mhm.
yeah.
things
Oh,
like
very cool.
that. Mm-hmm.
Right
Sorry.
on. So definitely go shopping in South Korea. What about, so how did these two experiences studying abroad, how would you say they impacted both your academic and also your career related pursuits?
I think in terms of academics, like, well, I came in kind of wanting to major in international management because I wanted to like be able to be in a job that like lets me maybe perhaps travel a little bit for work. Um, and so I think study abroad has definitely kind of given me the opportunity to kind of see what it would be like to be traveling um, for like one purpose, but also like I guess balancing and managing my fun activities slash not work activities with my work activities slash like school and everything, and also just being able to kind of connect with some of the local people. And I think that definitely really kind of helped me like realize like, oh, this is definitely like this is so fun, this is definitely what I want to do. And yeah, I yes. I really liked that both of these kind of like were definitely like cultures that I was familiar with. So it was a little easier for me to get out of like kind of like come out of my shell because normally I am not super, I guess, out there and outgoing and stuff. So I think these provided opportunities for me to at least expand my network a little and just be able to get out of my comfort zone a little bit more.
Yeah. I'm wondering, what were some of the ways that you actually got to meet local people where you were? Was that facilitated by the providers who were hosting the program, or is that something that you did on your own?
So some of it definitely was from like the program. Like in Seoul, we had this buddy system where we had like we came to the program and then they'd assign us to a group, like kind of like a local Korean mentor who was like a student, like a Korean student of the university that I studied at, which was Korea University. And then we would kind of go on outings with them, like little field trips, I guess you could say. Like we would just like, I remember our first thing was going out to have fried chicken and just meeting other international students who were also in the same program, but just like um but also other we also got to meet other groups and their mentors as well. So there was that. And then also in meeting like all of these different kind of people, like other international students, like they also had like I remember one of my friends had like a local friend, and then sometimes like I would tag along with them and like go hang out and stuff. And then like um her friend would tell us all the local secrets, like, oh, like this place is it's really overhyped, or like, oh, I actually like doing this with my food and blah blah blah. So I thought that was really cool. It was really nice.
Always great to have kind of the insider view for sure. So it sounds like even though you say you're not outgoing, you ended up meeting a lot of people and making a lot of friends. Is there anyone who you're still in touch with after this full year has gone by?
Yeah, I actually we I have a couple friends, well, that I still talk to. Actually, there's this app that I had to download in South Korea because like all the locals use this messaging app called Kakao Talk, and I still use it to talk to some of the other international students that I met. And yeah, I think most of the people that I'm still in touch with are from other parts of the US, and they were the people that I hung out with most during my time there. So I definitely still like snap them every now and then, keep up with them, like, I guess, like over Instagram and like just messaging. And I still write letters and postcards and stuff. And it's really cool
Right
because they're
on.
from different parts of the US. So it's like, I will send you postcards and stuff from San Francisco because I mean, I either they haven't been here or it's like it's just really cool to get different things from other places. So
Yeah, it's still special. I totally agree. I love postcards. Absolutely. What about, Carrie, I'm wondering, Do you have any advice for students who are interested in studying abroad, but they're a little bit nervous to take those first steps?
Yeah. So it's definitely like, as I think I mentioned earlier, it's a lot of like, just because it's kind of like very new. I think a lot of students will kind of I guess freak out a little bit just because it's like it's very new and like I've never done this before and I'm scared. Like, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? And it's like, I know it's really easy to kind of like worry about those kinds of things. Like, for sure I did too. But I think if you plan accordingly and I guess like think about it beforehand, like what you're gonna do and stuff, like it's definitely not as bad as like you're like, if you're thinking is kind of like worst case scenario, like some of my friends like will think like that. um like all you're gonna do is worry, and I feel like a lot of it, like it's not gonna happen. Like, chances are it's really likely that it's not going to happen. So it's just, I think getting over those kinds of initial worries and stuff is definitely one thing that like if you're thinking about studying abroad and you're worried about all of like the little kind of stuff, like it'll be fine. Trust. You'll have so much fun. And I like totally like 100% recommend doing like, I think once you get over that, you'll just have the time of your life. Like, it's really that great. But also, another thing that I think a lot of people are concerned about when thinking about studying abroad is finances. And that I was very lucky that my parents decided that they would pay for my first 2 trips, because they were very short-term trips, so it wasn't like super like out of the budget for them, which I'm so grateful for. But I do know that even if like you're kind of trying to finance it on your own, there are so many scholarships and grants out there that you can apply for, and a lot of them are like region specific. And so like it's really they're a little bit, I think, obscure. Like, you will have to do a little digging here and there to find them, but I think that like applying to those would be really, really helpful if you're worried about finances and stuff. And I think another just big thing is just being in a place where you're not like familiar with, the culture. And I think I think that's what studying abroad is. Like, you're going to somewhere new and unfamiliar, and like it's definitely, you're like gonna trip and make a couple mistakes here and there, obviously. And I think not being afraid of making those mistakes was one of the biggest takeaways that I had from learning going abroad, sorry, was just not being afraid to like slip up, mess up a little bit, because it's gonna happen. And I think once you kind of realize that and like get over that fear, like it's definitely like a great experience to just like look back on and learn from, and you'll definitely just like really, really love it. But I mean, I'm sorry.
No,
That's
nothing to apologize for. If only the audience could see you, you just have the biggest smile on your face, and kind of reflecting on what those experiences were like. And I know that I do the same thing. Anyone else I know who has had this experience abroad does the same. Even I think, that obviously with coronavirus, there was a really big disruption for a lot of students. And on the one hand, it was really devastating because this was very unprecedented, so it's not something that's likely to happen, at least in the near future, another global pandemic. But there are so many stories of how students still felt that even if they didn't get the full semester in those cases, they were so grateful for the time that they did get, and they reflect on it, and they already had their videos that they made. It's really impressive. But so I think, yeah, and there's a lot of credit to the short-term programs that they can still have that kind of impact that they so clearly had on you. And I think you gave some really great advice, so thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you.
So Carey, I'm going to ask you one of the questions that we like to ask all of our guests to kind of wrap up our conversation for the day. And that is there anything that you're reading or listening to or watching right now that is furthering your learning? Or since you're kind of doing a very research heavy internship, maybe you're going, oh, I'm just watching Netflix or something like that, which is totally valid. So something that you'd recommend.
Actually, yes. Because my internship is so very, very like centered on reading a lot of research articles and stuff like that. I think I get my weekly dose of reading like just fine. But in terms of shows, I don't. I think this has been very talked about recently. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't know if you've heard about it. I grew up watching the show. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of like, it kind of just seems like it's just a show that you'd watch to pass the time and stuff. It's a very entertaining show. I love it. There's 3 seasons. But I think that there's a lot of like, because I watched it when I was little, I'd never thought about all of these kind of underlying, I guess, themes in the show. But now that I am rewatching it, like there's just a lot of things that I didn't pick up before, or that I realized like wow, like that's actually like kind of speaks to a lot of the things that are happening today. Maybe not in the same way, of course, but like there's a lot of stuff actually that actually applies, and I thought it was really cool. And because a lot of people are like talking about it and kind of getting into the fandom and whatnot, there's a lot of like memes and other, I guess, takes, and a lot of like just a lot of people talking about it online, which is really cool too. So I've kind of, in my free time, I've been watching that. It's really awesome.
That's cool. I actually have started it. I think we just watched the 4th episode.
Oh.
And I'm blanking on the characters' names now, but the brother,
It
was kind of themed around him thinking that like girls can't fight or something like that, and his sister is like, excuse me, and then they meet like these incredible warrior women, and he kind of gets schooled a little bit. But then he also like, he's learning, so it's very, very nice message.
Yeah, I love that. That was probably that's one of I think the best things that happens. But there's like a lot of cool stuff that also happens like in the next couple seasons as well. So if I encourage you to keep watching.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Carey, thanks so much for this conversation today. I think it'll be really encouraging to hear other students, or for other students to hear from you, and kind of get an idea of what opportunities there are in going abroad. So thank you.
Thank you.
And that wraps up today's episode, everyone. Remember that you can find our episodes on anchor.fm or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. There's a bunch of different ways you can tune in. You can also check out our blog at blog.menlo.edu/career-services/. Have a great day.